What's up, everybody? It is the season opening episode of Birds Deep, meaning like football season starts tonight. The Eagles aren't tonight, they're Sunday. We will talk about that mainly, but football will start in an hour or so. For those of you who are used to us starting at 7:30, it's going to be 7:15 during football season, or maybe a little bit earlier, so you could get to the game after you get your Birds Deep fix. So I'm the Godfrey, T-H-E, Jewies. Godfrey, and I got my man Mean Gene over here. Mean Gene, tell him what your name is.
Mean Gene. It never gets old, baby. I'm ready for some Eagles football. I'm rocking the Birds jersey, the old 99. What's popping,
Nice.
Godfrey? How you feeling?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. The Eagles, depending on where you're from, are ready to play Sunday against the Lions. We're going to talk about that. Football season is upon us. The best sport anywhere is coming to play, and I'm just excited the NFL is back. Fantasy football is in the air. Betting is in the air. All things football is in the air, and the preseason is behind us as it lulled us to sleep so we can wake up immediately today for the game.
I'm ready. I'm ready for tonight. I'm ready for week one. Fantasy football aside, betting aside, there's nothing. I will trade fantasy losses for Eagles wins any day of the week. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. As I've told you before, my dad was cremated in an Eagles urn. We watched the Super Bowl together, so my fandom can never be questioned. We got to get into a huge game this week. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to the Motor City to take on Dan Campbell, Duce Staley, Hank Fraley, and I say Hank Fraley, former Eagle, Mark Brunell, Aaron Glenn. They got so many former players as
Calvin
coaches,
Shepard.
and the Detroit Lions. That's another one.
Yep.
There's tons of them. And the Detroit Lions this week. I think that this is going to be a very, very tough matchup. If you're an Eagles fan waiting for a homer opinion this week from me, you're not getting it. I hope to you that the Philadelphia Eagles can win this football game. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very, very nervous about this one. And we'll get into it as we break down each part. We'll talk about the keys to victory for the Eagles and the things they have to avoid, things that they cannot allow to happen versus this very game Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I agree. I haven't seen the last episode of Hard Knocks yet. I wish I had, but it just time didn't allow it this week. But I
Slim
think me and
Shady's
you
on it.
did see it. Oh, I
Yeah,
did
Slim
see
Shady's
that
on it.
piece.
They got Eminem.
Yeah. There was an awkward moment I did see where the one dude kept shaking his hand forever. He's like, "You're just gonna keep shaking my hand like that forever?" I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, it
I
was
was like,
great.
"Okay, we're gonna make it awkward, buddy." But yeah, that is pretty cool. Eagles, you know, we're not gonna give you a homer opinion. We never have, never will on this show, because we're not here for hot takes. By the way, I am glad. Some people would disagree with me, but I'm glad the hot take season is over for fantasy football and football in general for like the preseason and the pre-fantasy season, if you will. Because I don't know about you, Gene, but I feel like some of the hot takes that we're hearing out there, especially regarding the Birds, were a little outrageous, in my opinion. Like Jalen Hurts for MVP. I hope it happens, but that's a big swing and a miss, I think, right there, as far as what you're going to expect from our young quarterback this year, right?
Godfrey, I will just be happy if Jalen Hurts throws one pass this season, an out route before the receiver's helmet turns. I know this sounds like my ever loving, ever growing conversation about Jalen Hurts, but if he throws a comeback before that receiver sticks his foot into the ground to come back to the route, or if he throws an out pattern before receiver turns his head, that'll be my win this year, man. I'll look at him as my MVP for that specific thing. But that's one of the keys to the game, man. Jalen Hurts has to be good. Detroit Lions coming into this football game know that the Eagles are going to try to run the football. And one of the things that Detroit's improved upon dramatically is their front seven. They had a second overall draft pick. They took Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan, who's a very high motor guy, special kid that is going to be the anchor of that defensive line. Also on that defensive line, if you remember from the Rams is Michael Brockers. Michael
Hmm.
Brockers is no joke. So they have two world class defensive linemen. You go into the secondary, and I know you're not watching a lot of Hard Knocks, but Rodrigo, you
No,
got
I've been there.
Chris Board, you got Alex
Hmm.
Anzalone. I think that the Lions could be. And then you go to the secondary, Jeffrey Okuda. Jeffrey Okuda is turning into former number 5 pick in the NFL draft. Is turning into a very good young cornerback. So
Hmm.
I don't think that this game will be a walkthrough whatsoever. I think the Lions offense with DeAndre Swift, Amon Ross St. Brown, Jared Goff, DJ Chark, DJ Hawkinson, and an improved
Hmm.
offensive line won't be easy to stop either. But a lot to get into.
Yeah.
You want to go over offense or defense first, Godfrey?
Let's do offense.
All right, offense. Talk about the Eagles offense versus Detroit Lions defense. I think that one of the benefits that the Philadelphia Eagles have is a cohesive unit up front. You're going to have the offensive line. Lane Johnson's healthy. Jason Kelsey will be back. He's practiced all week. You got Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Isaac Sayamalo. I think that they will be able to run the football, but not run the football at will like they did last year. I think that the Lions will be run blitzing a lot. I think that the goal for any defense playing the Philadelphia Eagles this year is to contain Jalen Hurts and stop the run game. Make Jalen beat you with his arm. I
Yeah.
think
Make him
that'll be the key to the game offensively.
make him figuratively dribble with his left hand, if you will. Right. So make him go to
Yeah,
his
it's a very
left.
good analogy.
So my thing with this is, I agree with you. The reason why, by the way, on DraftKings, the Eagles are -4 favorites right now. I guess that's public money pushing that forward, right? But correct me if I'm wrong there, Gene. And I feel like with Duce Staley being there and all that, we'll get into that later. There's a little bit extra motivation, but the offense has to be mistake free. And everybody talks about how Jalen had a good practice. Nick Sirianni, of course, is going to say that. And then a lot of fans were like, "Oh, he looks good at training camp and this and that. He's had some good days, some bad days, but mostly good." I think where as fans we have to kind of calm that down and peel back the onion, so to speak, is he's playing against non-blitzing defenses most of the time in that situation, where they're not bringing a disguised blitz or disguised coverage, if you will, where he's not having to make reads that are all that hard. You know, it's different when you're playing a full-on defense in the NFL than when you're in training camp or practice. There's plenty of quarterbacks that look great in practice and training camp. Like, there's tons of guys like that, right? When you get to the game, it's a different thing. Jalen Hurts is mentally tough. I don't think he is a guy that shrinks back mentally, and I think he has a short memory when he makes mistakes, which is good because you can't dwell on that when you're a quarterback. You have to have a short memory, keep it moving forward. But I'm just worried about the symmetry here. Uh, it looks like Miles Sanders is going to play. Am I wrong or right there? I mean, I've been hearing conflicting reports, Gene.
Miles Sanders has practiced all week. Miles Sanders will play.
Okay, so
As of right now, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have zero injuries concerns for this week unless something happens in practice. And
yeah,
there has been 2 injuries in practice this week for other teams, big ones too. Alan Lazard has hurt his hamstring, and Rondell Moore for the Arizona Cardinals has hurt his groin this week. So both those receivers likely to miss Sunday's game at this point. So thank God the Eagles are not walking into the season wounded. So that's a positive.
yeah. So they got health on their side. I'm just wondering about their preparation and readiness because we're talking about practice. Yes, we're talking about practice, not the game. And how good are they? In the NFL in general, I feel like the first couple weeks, 3 weeks, you get some poopy games depending on how teams prepare. But the NFL is all about trends and bucking trends. And I feel like when watching the Lions, I feel like they were bucking the trend a bit and having contact earlier than most teams. Now, I know they got a little bit of the hard knocks bump, but I feel like they're coming into this game more fully prepared for a full NFL game than the Eagles are, as far as I don't know, as tempo and as far as full contact and against the defense. You had the joint session practices, but it's still different than a full game. So I think the offense can't make mistakes. I think the offense cannot have a turnover and get behind early, because where they're going to make them dribble left, as Gene was talking about passing the ball, is if they do get behind like 10-0, 14-0, and they know he has to pass, that's going to be the true test of a Jalen Hurts. Can he push the ball down the field when the defense knows what you have to do, right? And that's what they can't do. I believe if that happens and they get behind by that much, they're going to have trouble coming back, and then you could see the Lions covering that +4 spread easily, in my opinion. And I think that's what I wonder. Like, what's going to be different? Like, we know they could run the ball, right? But like, what's the passing game going to look like? I mean, do you have any hope that it's going to be any different than what we saw last year? I mean, I think it hopefully should be improved. Even though he's not
Well,
the best
I
passer,
think it'll
but
improve. I think
mhm,
it'll definitely improve. I think that adding AJ Brown, Zach Pascal, the emergence of Quez Watkins, not having Jalen Rager on the field, I think all those things are positive. Notice I said not having Jalen Rager is positive.
yeah,
I think the receiving core that the Philadelphia Eagles have this year is light years better than it was last year. I think Dallas Goedert's a year better. I think the receiving core is better. I think the offensive line is going to be overall better. Another year of Landon Dickerson, another year of Jordan Mailata. Lane Johnson's one of the leaders on the team, and Jason Kelsey has shown no signs of slowing down. So I think as an overall offense, they will be better this year. I think the Eagles still do well. I think that, and we'll talk about this as the season progresses. But I'll give my full season preview. I think the Eagles win the division. I think they go 10-7 and they win the division. This is going to be a tough game. I think this is the difference between 10-7 and 11-6. I think being able to come out and win this game on the road at Detroit, opening week. You got the Vikings at home next week for Monday Night Football, which we'll talk about that. But it's going to be a very the Eagles could easily go 0-2 these first two games. They can also go 2-0. And I think a lot of it has to do with how they look. My biggest complaint and concern for the Eagles is their lack of preparation. You said it, you nailed it. I think that a lot of other teams are more prepared for the season. A lot of other teams have been hitting in practice, where the Eagles are more concerned with not injuring themselves. Now you go back to last year and you see what happened last year. The Eagles started 2-5. Now you can point to the week one versus Atlanta, but to be fair, Atlanta has the same preparation style as the Eagles do. New head coach kept everything soft, didn't have hitting in practice, so it's not the same thing because the Eagles were going against a team that prepared just as poorly as they did. So just want to be clear there. I don't see that last. A lot of people point to an opening game win versus the Falcons last year as a sign for optimism. I point to the 2-5 start as a sign of concern, a sign of worry. I think the Eagles better be worried for this game. Last year when they played the Lions and they destroyed them, it was the week after Matt Stafford returned to Detroit. That emotional high playing the Rams and playing their ass off, by the way, barely lost the game versus the Super Bowl champions that year, the Rams, was an emotional high and an emotional letdown the next week having to play the Eagles. So I give the Eagles a ton of credit for that game. The Eagles had got their ass beat the week prior playing Las Vegas, and they showed up ready to fight that game. The Lions had an emotional letdown. I promise you, this will not be the same style game. If you want to give me the Eagles -20 or Lions +20, I would take that to the bank. The spread's 4, and the spread's 4 for a reason. 67% of the public is on the Eagles. The spread opened up at 4, 3.5. It moved up to 4.5. It's down to 4. Do not look past this Lions team. This Lions team can beat you, and we'll get into that a little bit more. I think they're a little bit more skilled at the running back position with DeAndre Swift, and I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, and you better believe it. Thank the Lord that we're not seeing Jameson Williams. That kid's a stud.
yeah. I Side note: I'm getting completely fucked this weekend. I'm going to be watching the Eagles game, but someone I know, relatives contacted me, and they're having a 40th surprise birthday party on that same day at 2 o'clock. And I said to him, I was like, "You guys really had to have that on the first Eagles game of the season?" I'm like, "Really?" So they told me they would have it there, and maybe I'm an asshole for bringing that up, but I will stand pat that if you're going to have a wedding or a surprise party during football season, you better keep it on fucking Sunday. That's all I'm going to say.
Violation, bro. Violation. I don't
True
know who this
violation.
is. Uh, it's a violation. And I think that it's one of the biggest violations you can run into is somebody that throws a child's birthday party a surprise party, anything that has to do with, especially the first week of the season. There's 3 weeks that you cannot throw a party. You cannot throw a party on Sunday. One is Cowboys week. Two is Super Bowl week. And three is opening day. All 3 of those weeks you cannot throw a party. You want to sneak one in week 6? Okay, that's fine. You can't sneak one in opening
Mm,
day. Come on, man.
yeah. This is what I have to say about having a party on
Even
those
Mike
days.
knows that's a violation. Even Mike knows that's a violation.
Right. And here's the thing. I will be watching on my phone. I was told there'll be a TV there. If anybody breaks my balls for watching this game, I will go Super Saiyan and lose my goddamn mind. My hair will, I'll grow hair and it'll turn blonde and I'll go Dragon Ball Z on this. So all I
I'm
know is,
disappointed in you, Godfrey. I wouldn't go. I'm disappointed in you. I
eh,
wouldn't go.
well, listen, I'm going to be there with I've done this before. So I have some backup batteries. I have an iPad. I will be watching this thing live. I will have Red Zone on. I will literally have a phone with Red Zone on, and I will have my iPad with the full on game on. And they said they'll have a game there on, so it's gonna happen. I will not be kissing babies and shaking hands. I will be watching the birds because one,
Pull the poll up,
I
Mike. I don't pull the poll up. Anybody that's watched Birds Deep, Mike, I need a poll in the chat or whatever you want to do. But anybody that's been watching Birds Deep, do you think that Godfrey will have a battery that works and a system that works? Because I've watched this show the last few weeks, and I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think your laptop's going to
oh no,
crash.
I'm
I
gonna
think it's
have it.
going to die during the show.
Oh, I'm not doing the laptop.
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
I'm going with the iPad Air, and I'm going with the phone. So it's gonna happen. I got too many fantasy teams. I got like 6 leagues this year. There's too much time invested, man. And then there's going to be bets happening too. It's just like Sunday. That's my church is the NFL. Okay, Roger Goodell's my pope. I don't know what else to say. Not really, but you guys get where I'm going with that. I mean, so I don't know. I guess we could jump into the defense because that's the strength of the Eagles. I think not the strongest thing, but I will say the Lions' offensive line is not a slouch offensive line. Um, they do have some good players on there, and I think the Eagles can take advantage. You know, if we're playing aggressive and we're not playing bend don't break, Jonathan Gannon style defense, I think they need to get Jared Goff off his spot. They need to make him throw the ball earlier than he wants before the receiver breaks in the route. They need to, you know, we know that Duce Staley's going to want to run the ball healthy. I mean, just based off his coaching style, knowing him here in as an Eagles fan and seeing, how he's coaching these guys on Hard Knocks, they're going to want to run the ball. They're a run the ball team. They're going to want to do some play action. They're going to play. I think our defense will be up to the task. I just think our defense is going to be connected to how our offense does as far as are we going to tire him out by having him on the field all the time, being ineffective, or giving the other team a short field, um, by doing turnovers. And that's what I fear. I fear there's going to be some rust coming out there. But I got to tell you that I think the defense can hang with this offense, and I think they can cause turnovers. And Darius Slay, I'm pretty sure has this game circled because he spent a lot of time in Detroit as he had circled last year. And, I'm pretty sure Duce Staley has this game circled because of how it finished out with the Eagles as far as his coaching career. So you better believe there's got to be some high emotions in this game. I definitely think it's going to be closer than 4 points. And I think the Eagles, if they win, it's not going to be by 4 points. It's not, I don't think, in the NFL, man, like weeks 1 and 2, man, you get some weird upsets, and I have some substantial reasons. It's not just a gut feeling here. When you look at the defense, we still haven't seen the verdict is still out. Is it the chef in Jonathan Gannon, or is it the ingredients in the players? We both, me and Gene, think it's the chef. But now that the chef has the right ingredients, can he fix it? What do you think?
I mean, he has all the right ingredients. You said it perfectly. We haven't even talked about the trade that Chauncey Gardner Johnson
Oh,
to
totally
add to
forget.
our secondary and safety. It's
Great
okay.
move
We haven't talked
Howie.
about that. Another one. You got all the right ingredients. James Bradbury, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, Darius Slay. You got Kazir White. Uh, man, Hassan Reddick, TJ Edwards, Brandon Graham. Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis. The Eagles defense is loaded, man.
Yep.
They're loaded. Now, where Detroit is going to try to take advantage is the right side of their offensive line with Panay Sewell and Frank Ragnow at center. I think that the Detroit Lions are going to try to run the ball over the right side and really test out Brandon Graham to start the game to see kind of where he's at and how he's in his recovery. I think I'd run the ball right at Derek Barnett whenever I seen him in the football game. I would stay
Uh-huh.
away from
Yeah.
big Jordan Davis. I'll tell you that. Jordan Davis is going to eat in the inside. I don't think there's any one person in the NFL that can guard him. I think Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox uh, got a huge benefit by having that big man up front because he is going to move piles. I think that the worst thing that you can try to do against the Eagles is run the ball up the middle because they're going to double team him every play. They're going to double team Jordan Davis every run play, and you're going to have Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargraves fighting off one tackle, one offensive lineman. I would run the ball, stretch plays on the right side if I'm the Detroit Lions. I'd also take advantage of the soft zone coverage that Jonathan Gannon has shown the Eagles been. They're not aggressive defensively. I would take advantage of that if I was Detroit. Short, intermediate throws. I would have Ramon St. Brown, DJ Chark, running a lot of outs, running a lot of slants, 6, 7, 8 yards. I'd move the chains over and over. I would control the clock if I was Detroit. I'm the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Um, I am getting after the quarterback. I'm getting after the passer. I'm getting Jared Goff off his spot, and I'm getting him off his spot early. The Philadelphia Eagles defense, even with the addition of Jordan Davis, is still relatively small. Kazir White's looked
Right.
at as one of the smallest linebackers in the NFL. The Eagles have very small defensive ends and edge rushers. Uh, as much as I love everything they've done this year, they're small. DJ Edwards is small. Brandon Graham is a bigger defensive end, but he's older. As a whole, that team,
He's usually
Josh
played
Sweat
the
is
run
small,
well, though.
small edge rusher,
Graham is
100%.
usually,
Brandon Graham is
yeah.
100% played through.
So, because you're right, I want your
But
opinion on this.
sure,
So he had a lot of tackles, but when you watched the Chargers last year, people used to they gashed him with the run a ton. Now, I'm not saying that's Kazir Wade's fault, but did he get a lot of those tackles a la and what's the linebacker's name that was always tackling because there was nothing up front? The white guy, it's slipping my mind. You know who I'm talking about. Canadian.
for the Eagles,
Yeah, last year he played middle linebacker, the Canadian football
you
player,
talking about Nathan Gary,
Alex Singleton, as well. They were
Alex
both playing
Singleton.
the middle. Yeah, he had a lot of tackles, but that was because they were blowing the Eagles off the ball at certain points, running up the middle. And I think Kazir White might have had a little bit going on. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but the Eagles signed him relatively cheap, probably because he's what you said, one of the smallest middle linebackers in the league. And when I looked at the
Well, he's
Chargers
not our
last
middle
year,
linebacker.
no,
He's not our middle
he's
linebacker.
weak side. He's weak side, or is he? I'm trying
Strong
to
side
remember.
linebacker.
Or strong side. Okay.
He'll be our strong side linebacker.
Now,
Our middle linebacker is going
I
to be TJ Edwards, who had an incredible camp.
incredible. Yeah.
TJ
Yep.
Edwards had
Yep.
an incredible camp. But the reason that Kassir White had so many tackles last year is because runners were getting to the second and third level of that defense,
Yes.
and he was quick.
100%.
Um, here's the biggest flaw in White's game. The biggest flaw in his game is he does not attack the hole. He follows the runner and attacks the runner and not the hole. I think with the Philadelphia Eagles, they need to be able to be pursuit pursuit defense versus attack style defense. I've always loved attack style defense, very Rex Ryan, Buddy Ryan-ish defenses that attack you, that beat you to the spot. Where the Eagles are a quick defense that is going to try to pursue. They're going to try to run towards the ball and stop the ball. What that leads to is a lot less tackles for losses and a lot less big plays. So the Philadelphia Eagles defense is a bend but don't break defense. So teams are going to have to take long drives to be able to beat them. But good quarterbacks that can beat zone normally dice up that soft zone defense. It's a bend but don't break defense. That's what it is. It's designed to stop exploit. Kazir White's perfect for that because he played in that style defense last year for the Chargers. He was a
Mhm.
tackling machine in pursuit because he's quick. I just wish Gannon would take a different approach and be more of an attack style defense. When you have James Bradbury, Avonte Maddox, and Darius Slay as your three corners, I think you can easily play a man
Yeah.
attack style
Yeah.
defense. You add Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to their secondary. That's a fourth guy that can really benefit. You want to talk about a guy in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson that has now made three NFL players throw fist at him during a game and one during practice. He'll get in the guy's head. It's unbelievable. He made two Chicago Bears throw punches at him, and he even got punched in the face by his own teammate Michael Thomas, who got suspended from the Saints for punching him in the face before a Monday Night Football game. That's where the reference "slant boy" comes from. You've heard that. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was calling Michael Thomas "slant boy" throughout the entire
I
practice.
think that's an accurate
Michael
nickname.
Thomas had enough.
I think it's an accurate
Come
nickname.
on,
I
bro.
think he's telling the
Stop
truth.
it. Stop it.
I don't. Do you think Michael Thomas will ever be
That's
the same
silly.
guy he was? You think he'll ever be the same guy he
I don't
was?
know. Missed basically 2 years.
That's tough. Come back from a
He's
2-year
been out
layoff.
for almost
Even
2 years.
yeah. But I will say that that's one of those guys where Eagles fans will hate him but love him if he's on their team. If he wasn't on their team,
100%.
and they'll like him. He definitely will get to stir some shit up for sure. You know, I would like to see the Eagles be aggressive up the middle behind the backs of Jordan Davis and the defensive tackle rotation that they have, and send that middle linebacker up there, and just bring that pressure up the middle, because with the secondary you have, you could afford to do that. And that is an attack style type of move, and they should absolutely be doing that, because you want to force turnovers and get this guy off the spot. I think where Jared Goff and the Lions in the pass game are going to try to attack the Eagles is with TJ Hawkinson, in my opinion. One, because he's always been comfortable throwing to the tight end, and who's going to cover him, who's taking that assignment. I guess the safety in certain instances, I'm not sure which linebacker is going to take that assignment in the defense. I would think.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to take that assignment. You have
Yeah.
the Eagles will play single high deep safety for most of the game on Sunday, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to take the assignment of guarding TJ Hawkinson, which is why I feel like, listen, man, I've been back and forth on this game. I really have. And I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson sticking TJ Hawkinson will be a huge, huge help to that Eagles defense.
Yeah, it was. And
John
remember, we
Gonzalez
didn't have that a
on the
couple weeks
Birds
ago,
deep
right?
line.
Yeah. What'd you say?
No, but John Gonzalez on the Birds deep line. John Gonzalez on the Birds deep line. Birds will win. But Detroit has improved a lot.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the total being at 48.5? I feel comfortable going under on that. What do you think?
Um, I feel like under is a very safe, relatively safe bet. The reason why is I think the Eagles will not allow a lot of big plays. And I think Jalen Hurts, his arm, will throw them out of a lot of drives. I think that being able to practice is one thing, but I compare practice in the NFL to sparring in boxing. I think sparring and boxing are two different things. I think when you box at an extremely high level and you're going against a guy that wants to take your head off, not a guy that's trying not to knock you out during sparring match, I think it's totally different. I think the Philadelphia Eagles need to be prepared to get punched in the teeth in this game. And that Detroit team is going to be ready to play. I'm telling you. I think one of the safest bets of the whole game is taking Detroit first half money line. I really do. I believe that's one of the safest bets of the game.
Yeah. So I want to give you a prediction made by Reuben Frank, pretty well known reporter for the Eagles, or not for the Eagles, but covers the Eagles for NBC Sports here in Philadelphia. His prediction for Jalen Hurts' numbers. Have you seen them, Gene, this year?
3,500 yards, right?
3,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He thinks the rushing yards are going to drop by to about 619, and rushing TDs is 7. So he's saying 7 rushing TDs, 27 passing TDs, only 11 interceptions, with a passer rating of 93.9.
I'd sign up for that. I would sign
I
up.
sign up for it too.
I would sign up for that right now. If you could
Yeah.
tell me that was the season that Jalen Hurts would have, I would sign up for that. Last year he had 10 rushing touchdowns. This year 7. But last year he only threw for 16. This year 27. I would sign up for that. I don't know how you wouldn't. I don't know why you wouldn't. That would be something I would sign up for immediately. I think it's a fair optimistic view of Jalen Hurts. Like it's not like
Mhm.
Elliott Shore Park's like 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like it's not that type of
He's
troll
out of his
take.
fucking mind.
27 and
Ugh.
11. 27 and 11. I think 3,900 yards is a bit uh, if I'm being honest, I think 3,900 yards is a bit optimistic, but 27 and 11, I can see that happen. I can see a 90 some quarterback rate because Jalen Hurts
Yeah,
is a great preparer. He prepares well. He studies film. He studies the tape. I believe that Jalen Hurts is going to take another step forward. It's just about how big of a leap forward is he going to take? How big of a step forward is Jalen Hurts going to take this year? That's your biggest question.
yeah, 100%. And I sign up for that too. If he has that kind of season, he's going to get an extension. I mean, and I fear that as an Eagles fan because again, if he had that kind of season, I can't really argue with giving him an extension. Um, but I do think the one aspect that gets overlooked about AJ Brown when the Eagles acquired him was everybody knows he could stretch the field. Can Jalen get it there? That remains to be seen. Based on what we've seen, not going to have a lot of confidence in his deep ball. But the one thing I do know is that AJ Brown has a very good wingspan, so he can make up for inaccurate passes and pluck the ball out of the air. And I think that's part of the reason they went after a receiver like that because he can make up for the inaccuracy, and that's why a receiver like that can help make the quarterback look better, right? And so that helps. I think I think the trajectory being a little bit higher than last year for him because AJ Brown has pretty much had to do that with all the quarterbacks he's been with so far in the NFL. I'm not saying Ryan Tannehill is awful, but serviceable, good at play action, but definitely more accurate than Jalen Hurts, a better thrower than Jalen Hurts. Um, but that's been underplayed. I think you got Devontae Smith coming into a second season. Having AJ Brown around, I think, helps elevate his game as well. Um, and I like what they have there. So they have surrounded him with more weapons. But I wanted to ask this about the offense. We haven't talked about this pickup. What do you think of the Trey Sermon signing? Do you think that this kid can develop? Because the scouting report I saw is that this kid doesn't really have the greatest vision, slow 40 time, etc. What's your take on his potential of contributing to the Eagles?
I don't think Trey Sermon should be in the NFL.
You
I don't
don't
think he
think
should
he
be in
should
the
be in the
NFL. I
NFL?
don't think he's an NFL player. No, Master Teague went down for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Trey Sermon had 3 straight games playing behind one of the best offensive lines in college football in Ohio State and had 3 big
Hmm.
games in a row, running north and south. He's a strong runner versus college players. Last year, what San Francisco quickly found out is that he's soft against big NFL talent. He wasn't strong against NFL talent. He didn't bulk up. He didn't get bigger. He's not faster. He's not stronger. I think it's a wasted signing. You're talking about a former third-round draft pick just last year that the 49ers already gave up on. What does that tell you? I will give them a lot more credit than the Philadelphia Eagles for giving up on their third-round draft pick, not holding on to him for 4 years like the Eagles did with J.J. Oseka-Whiteside. But I, I don't think he's an NFL player. I think that he
Hmm.
got his opportunity due to playing behind the best offensive line in the Big Ten. He got hurt on the first drive of the game versus Clemson in the college football playoff, and you didn't see him versus any top elite defenses in college football. And when you did last year, he looked awful. He ran. I want to talk about a guy that ran into his offensive line more than anybody I've seen all year. I think Trey Sermon
Gotcha.
is not an NFL running back. And I think that it's a under the radar signing that needs to remain there under the radar.
So we're gonna flush that guy. Trey Sermon's NFL career. That's pretty much what I heard from the scouting report. What you said, and the funny thing is, I want to bring up a side point connected to Trey Sermon and reporting on the NFL briefly because I find it interesting. And the 49ers are one of the biggest culprits of doing this. We're fortunate in the Philadelphia area to have some reporters that are good outside of the Eagles organization. In San Francisco and a lot of other cities, they have just team reporters, so they can control the narrative. They put They only put out what the team wants to put out. It's not real reporting. And the reason why I bring this up is when we're talking about a Trey Sermon, so to speak, um, up until 2 days before he was released, they were saying he's definitely our number 2 back. He had a great camp. He's doing well. This is out of the mouth of a John Lynch, out of the mouth of a Kyle Shanahan. Complete BS. And I do I expect him to say he's shit? No. They were trying to trade him, yes. The report was that the Eagles were talking about trading him, and thank God they didn't. However, I want to roll back the tape to 2021. They had you believing that Trey Sermon would be. This was a fantasy disaster, and this was part of what they call the shenanigans or the shehanigans, right? They had you believing that this guy would be their starting running back, and then Elijah Mitchell comes out of nowhere, flipping the fantasy world upside down. And what I would say, folks, is be careful because there's people, resting in their fucking lazy boy saying they cover a team and they really don't. And that is a real good way to illustrate that because this guy, when you hear the scouting report, there is nothing that should have made anybody believe that he would have been their backup running back, let alone a starting running back last year. And everybody seems to have him dead nuts on. And I agree with Gene's assessment on him. I think the Eagles signed him like it was a prayer in the wind because they wanted a bigger back because he does have the size, but he runs into his own offensive line. He just doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the bulk, and he just doesn't have the strength. I think you would have been better off keeping Kennedy Brooks over this guy, in my opinion. I think maybe they re-signed Kennedy Brooks to the practice squad. I'm not saying he's going to be a stud, but
Well,
I don't see him there
I'll
either.
take it a step. I'll take it a step further for you, Godfrey. I think one of the biggest things that you have to look at is how much is your media helping your team? I think that if you're not watching football with your eyes and not understanding it, not really studying film and
Mhm,
studying tape, and not just watching highlights, you're doing yourself a disservice, and your opinion's probably is not as educated as it needs to be. So let me give you an
mhm.
example of why I like what San Francisco media did. I think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan played that perfectly. They tried to trade him. They hyped him up like he was their
Mhm.
number 2 running back, and they tried to
I
trade
agree.
him. They tried to get value back for him. And I think that having a media that's behind your general manager and behind your head coach in order to try to sell other teams on why it's a good idea to trade for him isn't a bad thing. But if you watch football, if you really pay attention to what you're watching with your eyes, you can see things before they happen. So, like, part of the thing that drives me nuts is the narrative around Jalen Hurts. And people think I dislike him. I don't dislike him at all. I think he's a great kid. I love his preparation, but I'm not going to keep repeating that. But I went to live practice. I watched him playing games. I broke down tape. I've watched play after play after play. And if you watch every out route, every comeback route that he throws, he needs to see the receiver's face mask before he throws it. He needs to see them break or turn before he throws the football, which leads to why the Eagles have some of the least amount of separation in the NFL. Separation's
Mm,
key. You have to be open to be able to throw the ball. So when you're giving a defender an extra step to break back on a comeback route, or a receiver has to go back an extra yard on a comeback route, obviously you're breaking the separation. Philadelphia Eagles ranked 28th in the league last year in yards after catch, and that
mm,
matters. And a lot of that has to do with the quarterback being able to accurately throw the football to the receiver. There's a reason the Philadelphia Eagles screen game is almost nearly non-existent. When a quarterback telegraphs a screen pass because they need to see a receiver's hands or they need to see a target to throw the football to, it will eliminate your potential of getting that screen pass to work. Jason Kelsey is the best screen lineman in the NFL. I think you need to understand what you're watching when you watch football. I think you need to look for certain things. Um, Godfrey, you illustrated something perfectly earlier in the show. Is it the chef or is it the ingredient? And with their defense, I think it's the chef scheme. I think that matters. With the offense, I think it might be the ingredient. I hope the Eagles' offense looks better this year. AJ Brown is a great contested wide receiver, contested catch wide receiver. I think he'll help you. I think Quez Watkins is going to help you take the top off of defense. But I need Jalen Hurts to be able to hang in the pocket to be able to make those big throws.
right. And the big throw that A.J. Brown could take to the house is an accurate 5-yard pass over the middle that he could break and you have to get that ball in front of him so he could run to it at full speed, turn that corner, and go up the sideline. He's done that in his career. We've seen people do it, and that's what A.J. Brown can get you some big chunk plays because of breaking tackles and yards after the catch. But if it's behind him, he stops his momentum, right? And I know it sounds like I'm talking about elementary stuff here, but when you have to, that's not a hard throw. There's a little finesse, a little timing. Depending on what spot it's in, you might need a little velocity on it, but you have to have a sense of timing. And I'm hoping that they at least worked on that because that's going to be a big part of the game. Like those short intermediate passes, he's going to have to do those, right? Especially since we know throwing an out route isn't
100,
his strength. So, you
100%.
know,
I want to comment on
right.
John Gonzalez asked a question on the Facebook. He said, "What do you think about Peters signing with Dallas?" I will give you an early plug for my fool's gold, my counterfeit green this week, and it's Jason Peters, man. Jason Peters needs to learn to hang it up. Um, I think it's great news for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's great that the Dallas Cowboys want to trot out Jason Peters, who's averaging 3.5 false starts per game, who is constantly coming off the field injured,
Facts.
who cannot make it through an entire game. I think that the Eagles' defensive line and the speed around the corner is going to give him all the problems in the world. I, I think that's a win. You want to ask me a question? Would I rather line up against Jason Peters or Tyron Smith? 5 years ago, I'd say
Peters.
Tyron Smith. Right now, I'd rather line up against Jason Peters. So to answer your question, I think that's an absolute win for the Eagles. I think it's a slap in the face to the Eagles organization that Jason Peters would even sign there. It's like someone like Chase Utley signing with the Mets. It's like taking one of your best, Jason Kelsey signing with the Cowboys. Brian Dawkins signing with the Cowboys. Something of that nature happens. You listen. He signed with the Bears. I wished him well. I didn't hate him. You sign with the Cowboys, you become an enemy. I don't care who you are.
Can he be a friend of me?
No, not now.
Okay.
Maybe a couple years after he retires.
Yeah, I think. Well, first off, he ain't gonna play all 17 games. I would bet every dollar I had on that. Um, I mean, I don't even know if he'll play 10 because we know one thing about Jason Peters as he got older. He's gonna take reps off. He's gonna come off the field. Yeah, he still has a physical presence, but he's definitely not the Jason Peters that is the bodyguard. That guy is gone. And for the Cowboys to sign him, I'm elated because it shows how desperate they are as an organization. Paying too much money for not I wouldn't say too much money, but paying a lot of money to Zeke and Prescott is doing them in. They had to get rid of Cooper because of salary cap issues, or maybe they were mad because Amari Cooper called Dak Prescott the Black Kirk Cousins. That's a direct quote. But and one of the funnier ones of the year. But who knows? They got rid of Cooper, and they've had a lot of injuries on an offensive line, and I think they got some talent on the team still, but I think the Cowboys are on a downslide, and I don't think that their offensive line is on the upward trend or on the downward trend. And that losing Tyron Smith is huge for them. Um, and they had the kid that was playing in a spot that had to move over from guard. But listen, I just think that's going to be a problem for the Cowboys because that was their strength, you know, going back the last 3 or 4 years before that. And I think it's a good thing as an Eagles fan that we know what to expect from Jason Peters. And then he got signed to the practice squad, I guess, to get in shape first. But man, they are desperate down in Dallas. They know it. I can smell the blood in the water, and they might even finish third in this division. I don't think they will, but there's a shot. There's a shot because I got to tell you, um, I'm not impressed with what they've done, and a lot of people haven't been. And it's just another Jerry Jones offseason that isn't quite there. I mean, you lose Randy Gregory, that's no small loss, right? I mean, that's a big loss, and that's another good thing for Eagles fans. So, yeah, Jason Peters. Anyway, I
Well,
wanted to.
Tyler Smith is that our first round draft pick. Tyler Smith is going to start at left
Mhm.
tackle for them for the season. Um, I think that's a mistake. You obviously have Zach Martin and Tyler Badaz in the middle of the field, middle of their line, but that offensive line is struggling. What I want to know next from you, Godfrey, is what is the prediction on their overall record for the year? Let's get you on record. Let's get a projection for you, and then we'll get into what our game predictions are for tonight.
Okay. For the Eagles, overall projection. I mean, I've gone up and down, but I've been around the same win total. Do we go 12? Do we go 11? Is it 12 and 5? Is it 11 and 6? Um, I'm going with a win total of 11, and I think 11 wins you the division and maybe gets you a home playoff game. You know, uh, NFC is pretty
11,
weak this
11
year.
wins.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It could
So
be
I want
12,
to
but
go through the schedule with skipping. I want to go through the schedule with you skipping game one because we'll
okay.
go through game one in a minute. I want to go through the schedule with you skipping game one. Week
Yep.
2 at home versus Minnesota, win or loss.
Home opener. I'm going with win. It's a Monday night
I have a
game.
win also. It
Yeah.
is a Monday night game. Week 3 at the Commanders, September 25th at the Commanders.
It's a tough one. I mean, I'm gonna go with a win there too.
I have a loss. I'm two. Well,
You have a
I'm
loss there.
1-1 at that point. I do.
Okay.
At home versus the Jaguars. Doug Peterson's return.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if people believe in Doug's
We got
revenge.
time. We
You
got,
think
we got,
you think Doug's a good coach
yes, I think Doug's a
overall?
good
Do you think?
coach.
Okay. I
Yes,
mean,
I think
I
Doug's a
do
good
too.
coach. We got to go through a 17-game schedule. Come on, Godfrey. Win or loss?
Uh, I'm gonna go. I'm going with a loss there.
I got to win. Card
Okay.
at Arizona, October 9th.
And West Coast game. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a. I'm gonna go with a win.
I'll go to a loss.
You're going to loss there.
At
Okay.
home versus the Cowboys. Yes, at home versus the Cowboys. I haven't beaten the Jaguars. You have them losing, so it's not lost there.
True.
But at home versus the Cowboys,
I'm gonna go with a win.
I have a win also. At home versus the Steelers,
I'm gonna go with a Steelers so funky, but it's at home. I'm gonna go with the win as well.
I have a win also. At the Texans, short week, Thursday night football.
Short weeks are tough on the road, man. They shouldn't lose that, but I'm gonna go with the win there. They shouldn't lose that, but I would not be surprised
I
if they did.
I also have a win. Right now, I have them 7-2, or sorry, 6-3.
Yeah.
At home versus the Commanders.
Uh, yeah, I think they
Carson
split with
Wentz's
them. I think
return to
that's the
Philadelphia. There's no way they lose
yeah.
that game. If you think they split with them, you have to give them the game in Washington. There's
Yeah, I'm
no
gonna give
way
them
the
that
Eagles
win.
lose the Carson Wentz return. Okay, that's a
Yeah, I'm
win.
gonna go the
I
win
have a
there.
win also. There's no way they lose that game. At
How many?
Indianapolis,
I'm gonna go with a loss with Indianapolis
I have a loss there
on the
too. At
road.
home versus the Packers,
I'm also gonna go with a loss on that one.
I have a loss there also. The Titans in Philadelphia,
Win.
I have a win also. At the
Where
Giants,
do? Uh, I mean, they're such a funky team. I gotta go with the win. I gotta go with the win.
I have a loss.
There,
Uh,
you have a loss there. Okay.
at at Chicago,
Win.
win. At the Cowboys,
See, what's the
Christmas
record
Eve.
at this point? Say what?
It doesn't matter. Win or loss. I'll tell you at the end.
Um, yeah, I'm just wondering playoff implications there. Like, does it matter in the next couple weeks? But yeah, I'm gonna. Man,
Yes,
that's a
yes.
tough one, man. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a loss.
I have a loss also. The Eagles at home versus the Saints.
I mean, they should win that game. That should be a win.
I have a win. And at home versus the Giants last week of the season.
They should not lose this game. But the reason why I think it might be a loss is I just think the way the division plays out, it's a meaningless game. That's the truth.
I
You
think
know
they
what I
win.
mean?
I think they win that last game. I think they win that last game,
Okay.
which puts me 9-7, and it puts you 10-6 going into this Detroit game. So now, for all the listeners at home, how do you think this Detroit game goes? You have them 11-6, or do you have them 10-7?
Oh man. Well, listen, I don't think you're going to cover the spread, but that's not talking about the victory. This is I have them losing. I mean, I listen. You don't want to make predictions with your heart here, right? If that was the case, I'd probably have the Eagles making like 12, 13 wins. Okay. Um, but I just think this is a game where they get caught with their pants down. I just feel like the Lions team is more ready. It's on the road. This team has it circled. You know, they embarrassed them last year in Detroit. You know that coaching staff is talking about it. Duce Staley's talking about it. Hank Fraley's talking about it. Um, and I just see the Eagles losing this one. So I guess that would put them at 10-7, you know, if I'm going based off what I said. But um, yeah, I
Last
see the
night, I
Eagles
predicted
losing
the
this.
Eagles would lose this football game. Last night, I predicted the Eagles would lose this football game. I changed my mind. Up
You got
an
them winning
hour
it.
and a
Okay.
half ago, I have the Eagles winning this game. I'll tell you how I think they're going to win it. I think it's going to be
Okay.
20-17 Detroit with a minute
Hmm.
and a half left in the game. And I think
Hmm.
Jalen Hurts with his legs gets them down the field in field goal range. And I think on a 3rd and 7 from the Detroit 13-yard line, a jump ball is thrown to A.J. Brown, who comes down with it for the touchdown. And the Eagles take this game 24-20 on a last-second touchdown with a minute and 17 seconds left in the game. I think the Eagles defense shuts down Jared Goff. They can't get in the end zone. And the Eagles
Hmm.
get out of Detroit 24-20 on the closest of close games that I can see. I do not have the Eagles covering the spread. I have the Eagles barely winning this football game up to an hour and a half ago. Up to an hour and a half ago, I was picking Detroit. I've been back and forth on this game. My official prediction to Birds Deep is the Eagles win this one 24-20. Final thoughts, Godfrey.
I have the Eagles losing 20. So you're saying they're down by 3. I think if the Lions win, it's by 3, and I feel the Eagles getting off to a slow start, trying to play catch up, which sounds like how you think the game's going to start out as well. Um,
I
am I
do.
right there? Yeah,
I
I
agree with you
see.
100%.
I see the Lions pulling off a win 23-20. Both
Okay.
on the under.
Fun question for tonight before we get in the final thoughts. Who do you got tonight, opening week in the NFL season?
I got the Bills on the road. I'm taking the points. I think that defense is they're hungry there. They have a bad taste in their mouth from last season. Not saying the Rams aren't hungry, but I do feel that there's been some downgrades. I don't know if Cam Akers is the Cam Akers he was. Losing Andre Whitworth they haven't really replaced someone like him. He was he's a great offensive tackle, retired. And then the questions are, how is Matthew Stafford's arm? Is it good or not? You know, they signed Allen Robinson. You know, you still got Cooper Kupp, so you got weapons there. You got Tyler Higbee, serviceable tight end. We'll see. I think that the Bills come out and I think they whoop their ass. I see -2.5 on DraftKings. Now I see it at -1.5. I'm taking the Bills with the points, and I think Josh Allen and the Bills come out on TV and run up into the Rams Stadium like it's their own home stadium and they own them tonight.
I think the Rams win the game by 10, 27-17. I think the Rams dominate tonight. I think that Bobby Wagner
27-17.
and Jalen Ramsey. I think that you're going to see a very motivated Rams team after being disrespected, being a home dog in prime time after winning the Super Bowl. I think the Rams win this game. I think they're flying around the football. I think the Bills start slow. They try to play catch up,
Okay.
and the Rams win this one
Uh,
27-17. Last but not least, it's 8:13. Football starts in 6 minutes. Give me your Super Bowl prediction.
that's a tough one. I think Bills versus Buccaneers. Bills Buccaneers.
Well, I got the San Francisco 49ers representing the NFC and Trey Lance, and for their Super Bowl representing the AFC and the Super Bowl winner, nobody circles the wagon.
I knew you were
Buffalo
going.
Bills.
Yep. Yep. Hey
I
man,
got the
I would
Bills
love
over
to
the
see that for the Buffalo
49ers.
Bill fan base. Yeah. Bills over
That's all I
49ers?
got, man.
Okay.
Anything else from you?
No, that's it. You pretty much did your counterfeit green. We're gonna leave it there. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for listening. Football is upon us. Can they? I mean, listen, there could have been other games, but I think this is a perfect opening night game that the NFL has going on here for Thursday, right? I mean, would you agree, Gene? Bills,
Facts.
Bills, Rams. I mean,
Completely agree with you,
I'm
my man.
I'm like, I can't believe football's here. I know you guys are excited. Gene's excited. We're excited to take Birds Deep with you all season long. And like I said, we keep it real here. No troll takes, no homer takes. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening in. And this is me and Gene not saying goodbye, just saying take it birds deep.